Hello, YouTube. It's your boy Nathan coming to you to do another recap video. Today we are talking 90 Day Fiancé Season 12, Episode 6, When Two Worlds Collide. Ooh. So we're just going to get on into it. I got to tell you what, that ending, it's been a while since we've seen some kind of entertainment like that. But we'll get to Debbie and Mita last. The first couple I want to talk in this episode is, we're going to start with Thomas and Paula. So this was intense too. So Thomas and Paula, they just had their first night together. You know, Paula's big into that whole manifested thing or whatever. So they have their first night together and they wake up. Yeah, they apparently got their groove on and stuff and everything. And, you know, they just want to start doing their normal day lives and stuff. Now, Paula, as we know, is a vegan. So, and Thomas revealed in this episode that he has Crohn's disease and stuff, and he's had it since he was 9 years old, and he really doesn't want to give up like meat and stuff. So when they were cooking breakfast, they were cooking like two separate meals and stuff and everything. Paula was trying to make some eggs, and I guess like the smell, like, or whatever, she couldn't handle the smell, so he made her go get like some kind of like gas mask to put on her and whatever, just so she could make her eggs and stuff and everything. And, like, it was a little weird, but okay. But he said the smell wasn't all that bad, but we'll talk more about smells in a few. So after they make breakfast and they go have breakfast and stuff, they remember that really small table that he has in his apartment that he didn't really like fully make anything like accountable for Paula's arrival. They eat their breakfast at the small table. She asked, like, do you want to move it like off the carpet? And he's like, no, it's like better, you'll like it better on the carpet. And I'm just like, really? Thomas is pretty picky, and Paula picked up on that. He's like, Thomas is very picky and a little bit immature sometimes on how he does things or whatever. So they ate, and then like instead of like blessing the food and stuff, she takes his hand and just like the manifested thing, just thank you to the universe for having me here and everything. And she was getting all emotional, this and that and everything. I just don't get this manifested thing with her. I just don't. I just like, I mean, maybe it's just me with my I just thank the Lord. I just thank the Lord. Thank you, God, and stuff and everything. That's just me and everything. I just don't understand this whole manifested thing. So then after breakfast, after they have their breakfast, now like we come back and she's just like putting on her makeup and stuff and everything. Thomas walks past and he starts smelling something. And I guess she sprayed like some perfume all around the house or whatever. But she claims that she only sprayed like 2 little sprays of perfume and stuff and everything. Thomas like reacted quick to that. He was like, he's basically like allergic to that smell, and he had to like step outside and everything, and he was pissed. He asked Paula, like, what did you spray? Did you spray perfume? She was like, yeah, just like 1-2 spots. He's like, I'm allergic to it and everything. And she was like, how do you smell that like from a mile away, basically? Like you must have some kind of power in you. And then he didn't find that funny when she said that. He's like, no, I'm allergic to this, and you know this and everything. She was like, no, this is my first time being here. She's like, yeah, but still, like you this ain't the first time. You know that I'm allergic to that and everything. And if you do that again, I'm gonna leave and stuff. You can stay here, I'm gonna leave. Like he reacted quick. Like he got like a real big attitude about it. Like he was raising his voice and stuff. Paul was just like, man, you just gotta you're really sensitive to that smell, aren't you? And he's like, this ain't funny. And she's like, okay, chill out. Like, geez, Louises and everything. And he got an attitude. And so he was just like, you should have just said, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. But now you're making all these jokes. So what Thomas does, he goes and gets some super glue and glues her perfume bottle like shut to only where it can't open. She can spray it, but just can't open it and stuff. And then I guess he can put some super glue within inside the perfume liquid, and we're just like, what the heck, dude? Like, what the heck? So Paula's pissed off, like, you just contaminated my perfume with super glue. And yeah, that's a new one to me. I thought that was ignorant. I understand that he may be a little allergic to that, but there has to be, I don't know, that reaction was just not cool. Now I can't, I'm not gonna blame production on that, because that was something actioning that he did and stuff and everything, taking super glue and stuff. So that's not something I'm gonna blame production on. That was ignorant. And I like Thomas, but that was ignorant on what he did and stuff and everything. So like Paula's just like what the heck and everything, and now she's all upset and whatnot. So, and that's where we left off with that. But yeah, I just thought, like, they're a goofy couple and everything, but that reaction was just not necessary. He did not need to react that way. He should have just been like, baby, like just be careful with the perfume and everything. I'm allergic to it and stuff. If you're gonna put perfume on, just like maybe step outside just to spray it or everything. Try not to do it in the house, or if you do it in the house, like do it in the bathroom. Wait a couple of minutes and let me know, or something like that and everything. But he didn't have to react the way he did and stuff and everything. I thought Paula handled that pretty well, but the super glue thing, completely disrespectful in my opinion. That was messed up. But yeah, but that was Thomas and Paula. Next couple I want to talk is Mallory and Raj. And so we didn't see Mallory in this episode, but we saw the continuation of Raj and Mallory's ex, fling Brandon. Now, we left off last week with Raj talking to Brandon, and Brandon like reacted because he's sitting on the tailgate of that truck at the white trash bash party, basically. So in this episode, Raj tells Brandon, I don't like you. I don't want you talking to my fiance, basically. Like in my country, in the Turkish culture, we're not, like, people are not friends with their ex-boyfriends and stuff and everything. And you got Brandon, and Ross was funny. He's like, Brandon looks like a caveman. It talks just like this all the time and everything. And yeah, Brandon is pretty intimidating. Like, he was intimidating stuff and everything. He was like, you're asking me to not talk to her. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. He's like, delete her number. He was like, I ain't gonna do that. And he was also like, if you want the respect that I want, that you want, you gonna have to respect me. You came and sat on my tailgate of my truck and everything. And down here, that was a big disrespect and everything. So Raj just got off the tailgate and just slammed the truck and then walked away. He was like, really? He was like, don't call my wife. Don't text my fiance ever again. And then slammed the truck and walked away. He was just like, really? I honestly, I thought Brandon was really gonna knock him out and stuff and everything, but I don't think he did because he's just being nice. But Brandon was just like, he didn't know any better. But that's just one pass from me, and I'm sorry I'm mocking him and stuff and everything. But yeah, y'all already know how I feel about Mallory's friends and everything, and just the title of that little party that they gave Raj and stuff and everything. So, so yeah, but yeah, that was Mallory and Raj. I wish I would have got to see more of that, because that was classic. So yeah, that was Mallory and Raj. Next couple I want to talk about is Katie and Joshua. We've seen a different side of Joshua. That he's about tired of Katie's nonsense. So Joshua, they wake up. He said the first night at the new apartment did not go well. He said like both of them sleeping on the twin bed, not comfortable. Then you had that garage beeping the whole time, not comfortable and everything. So he needs some furniture. So he's making breakfast for Katie and stuff. He's making some eggs and stuff. He said that Katie had pizza for breakfast, and he's like, man, is this an American thing? Like where people eat pizza for breakfast and stuff and everything? It's not like that in England. Yes and no, Joshua. So people do. There is breakfast pizza. there was like, where like the sausage and stuff, there was like a pizza. I remember in high school they used to have pizza for breakfast all the time. It was kind of annoying. I'm not a fan of it, but it was like some kind of breakfast pizza. So maybe it was that. Now they don't have any furniture, so she got some mats and stuff and put them on the ground, and they ate their breakfast like on the floor and stuff. And Joshua was just so upset because like his back was hurting and he just wanted like some kind of like furniture, some kind of like a necessity basically. So him and Katie get into a slight argument about that because Katie doesn't trust Joshua with money because I guess he bought some like $400 pair of sunglasses, which is kind of ridiculous. Like what sunglasses cost like $400? No comment. But she thinks that he's a little reckless with money, but she was like, we're about to get like free furniture and stuff because this apartment is pretty big. It's pretty expensive, I mean, and stuff and everything. So they go to like a little furniture shop to see what they can get, see if they can try to find like a table or something. But she says she's getting some free furniture for some friends and stuff. They go, they take a look at some things and stuff. They're frustrated. He's frustrated with each other and everything. And like, he's like, we need to get something today though. Like I can't like just sit like on the floor like that and my back hurts and everything. Then Katie gonna make a smart comment and say, well, do some stretches and exercise. And he was like, if you're gonna be an a-hole, then I'm not gonna not talk to you and stuff and everything. So they go to the store, they didn't really purchase anything at the store and everything. And they still talk about money and like being trustful and everything. And he was just like, it's just like, this is so hypocritical, basically. Like, you don't trust me, like, with money and everything, but you expect me to trust you when you do all this making out with people. Rightfully so and everything. And then, you're undermining, like, everything that I'm saying and everything. And Kay's like, I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but, we just gotta think about this and stuff. And he's like, but Joshua, like, finally, I'm just glad in this episode that Joshua finally like started speaking up more. Like he's been like really like passive and gone with the flow since all season so far, but finally he said something, and finally he was like irritated and annoyed, and I'm glad he finally stood his ground because Katie is playing. These shenanigans that Katie is playing is just not cool. And he was just like, we have a lot of crap to figure out, basically, and stuff and everything. So yeah, but yeah. I don't, they had a bed. Me personally, why would they get a mat and just to eat on the floor like that? Like they could have gone upstairs, took their food upstairs, and just stood up and sat on the bed and stuff and everything, and ate their breakfast. They did not have to eat on the floor. It's really weird. Back to Thomas and Paula's little mini table. Like I'd rather have the mini table than than eating on the floor like that. It's just crazy. Now remember what happened last week, but Katie's disgusting. Like that mattress, that stained mattress, and then her farting in the car last week and everything. Like so yeah, she's. I feel like she might be a tomboy. Like she's one of the like that girl that hangs out with the guys a lot, and clearly, and stuff and everything. And she's the girl that will hang with the guys that will burp and fart and stuff and everything, and think it's funny and stuff, and it's really not. Maybe in high school and stuff it's funny, but when you're an adult, it's really not. So yeah, but I'm proud of Joshua for finally like standing up to her finally in this episode. And judging by the previews of next week, she's about to bring an ex-boyfriend around him. I don't get why these women want to bring their never mind. I'm not gonna get into that. So yeah, that was Katie and Joshua. The next couple I want to talk is Shay and Annabelle. So remember a couple weeks ago, Shay told Annabelle that he might have like kissed somebody, like kind of cheated but didn't cheat or whatever and everything. And Annabelle got really upset about it when they were out. So in this episode, Shay had planned a like spa trip with his friend Angie and his daughter Allison. and he wanted Annabelle to go. At first, Annabelle didn't want to go because she was avoiding him at first. She was just like he was like, baby, you want to talk? And she was just avoiding him. And she was like, and she asked Shay, did you cheat on me? Like, did you have sex with that woman? And he's like, no, I didn't have sex with anybody and everything. And she was like, well, what exactly did you do? He was like, honestly, I don't really remember. So what I might have done is that I got drunk, and this girl, I was hanging out with this girl, and she had fake boobs and stuff and everything, and I was just like, well, let me see them and everything. And I guess like the girl took him over somewhere and just flashed her fake boobs to him, and that was it. And she was like, well, did you touch them, or did she touch you? And she was like, no, I just saw them, that was it, and everything. But I didn't cheat and everything. But Annabelle is just like, I agree with Annabelle, but like, why would you ask? And he said this happened like a month ago, and he's like, well, even when you're drunk, she's tired of him drinking, because every time he drinks and gets drunk, he does stuff like that and doesn't remember and stuff. So Annabelle's irritated with that and everything. How is she gonna forgive him? She's like, you keep on with this, we're not gonna get married, basically. So she ultimately agreed to go on that spa day with his friend Angie and his daughter Allison. They get there, and he leaves Annabelle with them and leaves, and she's mad that he left her and stuff, because like she wanted him to stay. And when she got there, Shay's friend, his daughter Allison, and then I just already lost her name. Angie. Angie was there. Angie came up and gave her a hug and everything. And Annabelle just gave her like a half-ass hug and everything. Just like, she was like, this woman wants to give me a hug. I don't like her and everything. So Shay leaves and everything. And, Allison is trying to help Annabelle. She's like, do you do this a lot in the Philippines? And she's like, yeah, once or twice a week or whatever and everything. And Allison was like, so what's going on? And like, I noticed there's some tension with you and my dad. And Annabelle was like, yeah, me and your dad had a fight. And we actually had a fight about Angie. And she asked Angie, did you cheat? And did you have a relations with my future husband? And Angie denied everything. She was like, no, I never had nothing. Because she was like, well, Nicole said that y'all had something and everything. She was like, no, never had anything with Shay. I could tell that, like, you just got here, you have so many questions and everything. It's a lot and everything. So she didn't press her on it, but yeah, Angie did deny some things. Now, here's where it got interesting. So Annabelle told Allison about this other girl, about the boobs, him showing the boobs and stuff and everything. And Allison acted all shocked, but she was like, you know what, honestly, I thought I was going to be the bearer of bad news, because like I knew about that. I'm glad he told her, but I've seen and heard some conversations on the phone, and there's just more to the story than my dad has told Annabelle, that she's just going to be upset to know and everything. So, oh my goodness. When she said that, I was just like, oh Lord. This Shay guy, he's for a 50-something-year-old man, he gets around. I can tell you that. This dude gets around, man. So I feel bad for Annabelle. I mean, Annabelle has a little bit of an attitude, but I'm starting to really feel bad for her and stuff, because she really doesn't deserve this, and this guy is really playing her to the T and stuff, and not being honest, and then thinking everything's okay because he gets drunk and not remember stuff. Okay, maybe he hasn't been intimate with nobody while in the 5 years that he's been with Annabelle, but still, you're still doing some shady stuff, and you're still asking to see a girl's boobs and stuff. I don't care if you're drunk and you don't remember. You don't do that. You got to think about what you're doing and stuff. And it's been reported that he's been arrested for like boating under the influence and stuff and everything. Like he needs to chill out. He's not in the best shape, and I'm not like body shaming him or nothing, but he's an older man, not in the best shape. He needs to really chill out. He ain't in his 30s or 20s or whatever. He's really got to chill out. That's just my opinion on that. So yeah, that was Shay and Annabelle. The next couple I want to talk is Marissa and Edward. So Marissa and Edward, so remember last week when Edward finally arrived to Marissa's house, she was basically the drill sergeant. A lot of people felt like Marissa was just like, came off really too high strong with that, and I agree. Like, she came off as like, this is how, shoes off, you don't do this, this is how it's supposed to be, the bed has to be this. Like, he felt like a drill sergeant, and on top of that, he's trying to adjust with the kids and stuff. So in this episode, Marissa's making dinner for Edward and her kids and stuff, and Edward's was still trying to get to know the kids and develop a bond with the kids and stuff. So he's playing with the kids and stuff, and then he had some money in his hand, and he put it in his fist, and he told one of the boys, like, hey, you guess what's in my hand, or guess what's in my fist. You get whatever's in my fist if you guess it right. And it was some money. I think for one of the sons, it was like a $10 bill, and for the older son, it was like a $50 bill. The young son took the money, and then the other one's like, hey, look, you got $50. And the kid was just like, I can't take that, and everything. Marissa's like, he's like, baby, it's a gift. You're supposed to be appreciative for your gift. But she's like, no, I don't want to take somebody's money because I just feel a certain type of way and stuff. Now, that kid is like 10, 11, 12 years old and understanding that. I kudos to him for understanding that, but that was a gift. And I thought Edward, that was really, really nice of Edward to like do that for them and stuff and everything, like giving the kids like some money and stuff and everything. Like, I thought that was a sweet gesture and everything. Shit, I would have took it. I would have been like, $50? Hell yeah. I would have been like, shoot, let's go. Like, shit, and everything. And like, he even asked Marissa, he asked his mom, he's like, did you give him that money? She's like, no, I did not give him that money to give to you. So, and she's like, go get ready for dinner or whatever. So they have dinner and everything. He's still trying to get to know the kids and stuff and everything. And the kids are just not like engaging as much as Marissa wanted them to. Edward was doing all the like engaging and stuff. And then ultimately, she just told the kids to get to bed. Basically, she'll come up and tuck them in and stuff. And he told Marissa, like, I'm just surprised he didn't take the money and stuff. Like, wow. And yeah, and we're just like, yeah, wow. So then, the next day, Marissa is trying to get like the kids ready for school or whatever, or practice and stuff and everything. And like, it's one of those hectic mornings. You got to fill up the water bottles, pack your lunches and all that. Edward was standing on his phone, just watching around. Marissa was getting frustrated. Once everything was done, he asked Marissa, do you need help? And she's like, no, it's already done and everything. So before they left to take the boys into school or the football practice or whatever, Marissa asked Edward and the kids, like, so I've heard a lot of like wrestling going on yet last night. What was going on? And he was like, yeah, we were just like wrestling around and we were wrestling on your bed and stuff. And Marissa's like, well, my bedroom is not a jungle gym, and somebody has to be the adult here. And Edward's like, so you're saying I'm not being an adult? And she was like, no, I didn't say that. So she dropped the boys off and then had a conversation with Edward saying, hey, look, you should have known, like, I was a little hectic this morning and you were on your phone and stuff and everything. And like, I could have used your help, or just a little bit more guidance on help. Or if you didn't want to help, just like look to learn, basically. And Edward was like, like, I don't mind helping. It's just that like, I have to be told and stuff. I did ask you, but I have to be told because like, I'm still learning and stuff and everything. And like, it's only my second day here. Like, you can't expect me to be a mind reader. And and I get him on that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people get so mad when you don't read their minds. That's so annoying. I get Edward on that because if you don't, I get Marissa's point where, okay, look, you see me doing this, like, you could jump in, but we already know Marissa's pretty bossy. She's been showing her bossy side to this and everything. And he's just like, I will help you and everything, but you just got to tell me, like, how y'all do it and everything, and then I'll learn and stuff and everything. But just don't, like, expect me to be a mind reader, basically, and stuff and everything. Because she was like, well, sometimes, like, I feel like you do act like a kid and stuff and everything. And he's like, no, I'm just trying to get used to this. That's all. And everything. So I don't know. Marissa used to quit undermining him and quit treating him like a kid and stuff. We understand that she's this high-powered executive and everything. And yeah, she doesn't need to treat him the way she's treating him, in my opinion, and stuff. And he's handling himself really well right now, but I just don't want it all to blow up and stuff. Now, judging by the previews that next week, it looks like he's going to be meeting the judgmental parents that the ex-husband was intimidated by. So, ooh, that's going to be something. So, yeah. So, yeah, that was Marissa and Edward. And the last couple I'm going to talk is Goofy, Mito, and Debbie. So, Debbie and Mito. Debbie assigned Mita to take a little acting class or whatever. So Mita goes to this acting class, and the director introduced him and everything, and it was like a group of people. They were all given like some kind of script to just act out and everything, and Mita goes there, and when he gets up, like, the director told everybody to read from the script and do it how you do it from the script, and everybody else did pretty well. So when Mita gets up there, his arrogant self is just like, can I do something different and stuff and everything? And the director's like, no, this is my classroom, and if you do that, if you ask to change something on set and everything, they will fire you in a heartbeat. So please just read what's on the script there. So Mita reads the script. He actually did pretty well. The director said that he gives him a C+ for it because of what happened. He acted it really well, but just his like, oh, I want to change something and everything, that attitude lost him some points. So he had a conversation with them and everything. He's like, look, when you're trying to be an actor, it's really hard to be an actor, basically, because you're going to need something to fall back on. He asked him, in Egypt, did you have like a second job or something other than acting? He's like, yeah. So yeah, basically, Mita's reaching for the stars. And I appreciate it. You got to reach for the stars, but people just like everything reach for the stars right then and now. They're not willing to climb the ladder. They just want to get on top right away, where it doesn't work like that and stuff, basically. I mean, I'm glad he got to take the acting class just to shut him up a little bit, basically. So yeah. So now, him and Debbie are now planning to go to this Halloween at this point, Halloween of 2025. Him and Debbie are going to a haunted house. And at this haunted house, Debbie meets up with her friends. Remember, we've seen these friends before Mita came and everything. And so they meet up at the haunted house and to do a haunted house run. They go inside the haunted house, and the haunted house actually looked pretty scary. Like I just seen people cutting bodies, like guts coming out and stuff and everything. Like, if I seen that in person, that would have been kind of creepy and stuff. That was an intense haunted house. Mito enjoyed every minute of it. He was like engaging with the actors of the in the haunted house and everything. Like, it just, nothing fazed him. Like, nothing scared him, nothing fazed him. It was just like he was just like one of the actors and everything. He was like talking to them and like playing with them and stuff and everything. He was just not fazed by that. And like I said, that was a real creepy haunted house. So Debbie and her friends were actually kind of annoyed by that, actually, because they're just like, what is he doing? Like, he's just like so engaged. Like, he's not like, this doesn't faze him at all. He just wants to be here for his acting career. So after the haunted house, like Debbie's friends needed a ride somewhere, and they had to stop somewhere. And so on their way to wherever Debbie needed to drop her friends at, Mito was really quiet. He was all energetic in the haunted house, but then he was just quiet looking at his phone and on videos. He wasn't talking to the friends or getting to know the friends or anything. Now Debbie's starting to get frustrated because she thinks that's rude and stuff. So they get to the place, and Debbie had to use the bathroom and stuff and everything. And and then the friend gets out of the car to meet up with the other friends. He's like, he did not speak or whatever and everything. That's pretty rude. So Debbie comes back and she's getting ready to go home, but she turns to Mito. She's like, what's going on? He's like, nothing. And like, I feel like we need to have a conversation. And he was like, don't start with me right now. He was like, what do you want to have a conversation? She's like, I'm frustrated. I'm like, oh God, what are you frustrated about and everything? And it just turned into a big screaming match. He's like, you have everything. Like, you have everything. Like, what do you need? She's like, I'm frustrated and everything. And then Debbie just starts, you know what? Like, I cannot deal with this. Get out. Get out and everything. He's just like, you know what? If you yell at me, I'll get an Uber to go home. And he's like, good, get out and everything. And Debbie came back and said, you know what? The conversation is that I don't think you love me and everything. And then she threw up the X. She was like, you could talk to that B and Egypt and all that, but you don't give me no respect and everything. And he's just like, oh my God, shut up. He told her to shut up and everything. So Debbie gets out, storms a fit, and then goes like crying to her friends and stuff and everything. He gets out and everything and starts like, and going after Debbie and everything, and told Debbie to shut up again. And the friend stepped in. It's like, don't tell her to shut up. Like, that's rude. And then he told the friend to shut up and got in her face. And so Debbie's friend's like, oh no, you don't talk to me like that. You don't talk to her like that. You want to get in my face, mofo? You're gonna get in my face. You don't tell her to shut up. And that's your future wife and everything. You don't tell her, and you don't tell me to shut up. Yeah, you better back up. Get out my face. I'm like, oh, it got ghetto out there. I was like, oh shoot, oh shoot, like back up. I'm like, back up. Like, you, the friend went off. The friend defended Debbie to the T. Like you don't tell her to shut up. You don't tell me to shut up. You better get her. And I'm like, where's that guy at that they were hanging out with and everything? Because if he got in her face, the guy would have knocked him out and stuff. I would have loved to see that. So Mita just backs away, and it's just like, I just call it Uber. And then they were talking to the producers, like, and Debbie was just like, I'm done. He was like, ask her. She keeps saying, I'm frustrated. And she's like, you know what? He's going back home. He's going to be booking a plane ticket, and he's going back to Egypt. I'm done with him and everything. And so Debbie gets in the car and drives off without him. She left Mita to get an Uber to get her way back. Oh my goodness. That was crazy. And you know what? I think we needed to see something like that. I love how that woman stuck up for Debbie. She's like, you don't tell him to shut up. You don't tell her to shut up. You don't get in my face. Wow. Like I said, it got ghetto right there. So, but wow, I mean, yeah, I'm tired of. Now Debbie took to social media and said that, it's really not that bad as they're making it out to be. Mita's really not as bad as they're making it out to be. But I just don't think this couple, regardless, she could say that now, but I still don't think this couple's gonna last, in my opinion. Will they get married throughout the season? Yes. They'll be divorced by next year. Mark my word. It's that simple. So yeah, that was basically it, you guys. We did not see Asia and Maxwell in this episode. We'll see them next week, and I'm glad Maxwell's family's gonna be putting Asia in her place, and I'm judging by the previews, and I can't wait to see that. I cannot wait for that. Anyway, guys, that is the end of my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back on tomorrow and Tuesday to recap The Last Resort. And don't forget, I will be recapping that new TLC show coming out called Little Singles. I'll do that like Wednesday or Thursday this week, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Hope you guys enjoy my content, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye, y'all.